This is Live in the Studio with G2. The show where we talk about the music we love to listen to and play. From time to time, we will have friends pop in and tell us their story, inspired by their musical journey and experience. Relax, enjoy, and subscribe.
This is part 3 of 3.
No, the further you go back, and I like playing songs from the late 50s, early 60s.
Yes.
I prefer that time frame in a lot of ways because that's when you get to the latter part of the doo-wop age, and you start getting into certain things that, like Sam Cooke, or
right.
or what's that guy, Bobby Day. He did Rockin' Robin.
Okay.
Certain things like that. You get into that. There's songs that people remember and they know, and it makes them happy because it reminds them of something.
And it's the key thing, especially to some of the crowds we play. When we played recently at that club, it was an older crowd, so we were playing things that when they looked at us, especially when they looked at you, Gary, they didn't expect us to play those songs. But when we played them, they were pleasantly surprised. They really enjoyed it, and when we show up with our instruments, and that's them in the back. If you're watching the video, they don't expect for us to play what we play.
No, and they really don't expect, definitely, for us to be playing together.
Yes,
because of the age difference.
We get that,
but also they don't expect me to sing songs. They expect me to sing stuff that's on the radio now.
Exactly.
And there are some things that I find that are really good songs that are coming out now, but they just don't give me that feeling, and they don't give other people that feeling that some of these classics gave people.
I think music in general goes through a roller coaster ride over time. You have a decade.
That's a very good way of putting it.
Thank you. You have a decade of music. It just seems like the people that are writing music
don't patronize me.
They're just exploding with good stuff. Now, not all of it's good, but you have more good than bad. And then you go through a few years of just struggling music.
Yeah.
And then it makes its way back, or somebody comes out with a unique sound and it makes its way back. Like you get the 80s, and then all of a sudden you're not getting much in the early 90s, and then you get a Hootie and the Blowfish out there with the acoustic sound of the guitar back again, and now you got all these groups trying to play that, and then it goes away, and so forth. It's a roller coaster ride. It's ups and downs.
You get that little bend in the river every so often.
Yeah. Which I think is good.
I just think now we're going through that disco. We're having because it's a lot of dance music, and nothing against disco, because there were some good groups that came out of that, especially like the Bee Gees and different things like that.
Sure.
But it's that dance party clubbing, but not necessarily anything that's and we had a conversation about this the other day about the 90s, and even through the grunge part of it, and then the alternative rock, and then more of the pop scene and everything. The songwriters' songs that came out during that time was very poetic. I think that was a resurgence of poetry and music, especially with lyrics that they probably didn't see since maybe the early 70s, mid 70s, or something like that.
I think the music is more now, when you're talking about the dance stuff, I think the music is written more to dance to, rather than to enjoy the music itself or even the lyric. I think it's just, give me a beat that I can get out on the dance floor. It's all about the event part of it, rather than listening to good poetry or good music or anything like that.
No, I agree. And we're going to have a whole episode on that. We're also going to have a whole episode on the 80s, because the 80s was a different era, because you had a lot of songs that were poetic, but you also had a lot of dance songs, and you had a lot of pop songs too.
And you had a lot of inventive new sounds.
Yes, that's true. So, we're going to
have the synthesizer.
We're going to have an episode on that. We have to. It's so easy not to talk about it.
It's going to be interesting what songs we pick to play for that.
Yeah, we're going to have to think of that, because we actually do a lot of stuff from the 80s.
Yeah.
we do. So we're going to have to think about that.
And that's, you talk about playing a song and keeping true to the original and all. That's a little tough when you're not.
Did I say that? I don't remember.
When you're not using any synthesized equipment, it's going to be fun to try and do that. So,
Mm.
yeah. So, but the last song that
Yeah.
we're going to want to do for you is "Dear Prudence,"
Which
1968.
Yeah, 1968 came from the infamous White Album,
The infamous
which
White
I do
Album.
own the White Album.
You
on
do
vinyl.
have the White
I
Album,
do
the
have
original,
I have the original White Album.
not that reprint stuff.
No,
that
no,
kinda
no.
came
Found it
out.
at a antique store actually
Yeah.
up in Macon, and I got it, and I couldn't believe that I got it.
Yeah, antique shops, but estate sales, you'll
Yeah.
find some good.
Well, that's with estate sales. That's when you're going to get the best quality.
I think so,
Because
people
people
take care
actually
of their
care
stuff.
of the stuff. When you go to an antique store, you're going to get into one of those, like orange crates
Yeah,
kind of situation.
yeah. Some of
and
them are good,
people
some of them are all
don't.
scratched up.
If you have records, never put your records face down inside an orange crate. That's how they get
Yeah.
warped. They need to be
Yes.
on their side. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
you
That
need
just
to
bothers
sta-
me
on
when
their
I see
sides.
that. Think about if anybody remembers, or if you're too young, talk to someone who does.
Yeah,
When they used to have record stores,
right.
how they put the albums in record stores,
They
that's
were
how you
not
should store 'em.
stacked. They were not stacked on each other. They were on their sides. Yeah.
Hmm. But this song, which interesting enough, in the original, this is a time to where the Beatles' sound started to change again,
Right.
and this is because this is right after they got back from having their experience with Maharishi Mahesh Yogi and India.
Yeah, yeah. They were
So
starting to study
they
the Hindu, right?
Started to do little experimentation of different things, and George Harrison learned the sitar, or learned a lot about the sitar and different things like that. So he added those elements, and we tried to emulate that in ours a little bit, but also taking it more into, since I'm a 90s child,
Yes.
take it more into like the 90s. But I try to use the flanger, and you can hear that in there, to simulate that kind of
sitar feel.
sitar kind of.
It's an
Indian
interesting.
feel.
It's an interesting instrument. I remember watching a documentary on that. And it's not just learning how to play the instrument, but it's learning the culture
Yes.
that goes behind the instrument. You don't take an instrument like that and play it like a guitar.
No.
Those are two different worlds.
Well, it's a different, what they call modes.
Yeah.
Which is different. They have different modes in what we know into the music that we play and stuff, especially in
Right.
jazz. But over in there, you're talking about basically a different alphabet
Yeah.
in
exactly.
music, to put it in basic terms. But that's basically what it is. So
Yeah.
it's very interesting. I'd love to learn to play it, but it would probably end up a lot like the didgeridoo that we got, to where it just hangs on the wall.
We
It's
have
like,
a
that's a nice
didgeridoo.
instrument. Do you play it? No, but it looks great.
Yeah. Hey, let's learn to play the didgeridoo. Hey, can anybody breathe double breathing? Yeah.
Yeah.
We're still learning. So anyway, here we're going to play for you next is Dear Prudence. This is 1968, Beatles' White Album,
Yes.
covered by G2 here in the studio. Enjoy.
Dear Prudence, won't you come out to play? Dear Prudence, written round this day. The sun is up, the sky is blue, it's beautiful, and so are you, dear Prudence. Won't you come out to play? Dear Prudence, open up your eyes. See the sunny skies. The wind is on, the birds sing that you are part of everything, dear Prudence. Won't you open up your eyes? Hey, hey. Look around, and look around, and hey, and round and around and around and around and around and around and oh, look around, 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 dear Prudence. Let me see you smile, dear Prudence. Like a little child, the clouds will be a daisy chain. So let me see you smile again, dear Prudence. Let me see you smile. Oh, let me see you smile. Hey, hey. Dear Prudence, won't you come out to play? Dear Prudence, a brand new day. Yeah, 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 yeah. The sun is up, the sky is blue, it's beautiful, and so are you, dear Prudence. Come out to play. Come out, come out, come out to play. Look around, look around it. Look around, look around it. Look around, look around, look around, look around, look around, look around, look around there.
So, Dear
was-
Prudence.
It's funny every time because on our recorder it has a 3, 2, 1,
Yeah.
and I always think of that scene from Wayne's World where there was like 3, 2, and they just give the hand and
Slide that one in.
but no, that's I like that one. I think Dear Prudence came out good. I think we blend a lot of different styles in that. Not just, we kind of do a little bit of what the Beatles did.
Yeah.
But I with the strumming, I think I actually probably put a little bit of Alanis Morissette.
Yeah.
She did a version of it that was a little bit more 90s alternative,
Right.
which I actually thought it was a really good cover.
I thought it was a good cover.
It flowed well, but musically.
Not a huge fan, but I like.
Oh, you don't
some
you
things
not
that
you
she
don't
does.
like Alanis Morissette?
I don't have any of her albums, but I enjoy a lot of her music.
Yeah, no, I like her. I don't like everything. It gets a little.
I don't think I like
Strange.
everything by anybody. I don't like
That's true.
anybody's everything, but there's many more people out there that don't like any of our stuff. So I guess it kind of weighs itself out.
I think there's a difference between, especially on albums, to where every single song is good,
Yeah.
and that every single song's a hit, or the overall album just flows very well.
And we were talking earlier about the 80s, and we've got to do a show on the 80s.
Yeah, we have to do that.
Because there were albums in the 80s, and I don't know if maybe we were just starved, but it seemed like if there were 10 songs on the album, 11 of the songs were hits.
Yep.
It was like everything was good. But then you're talking about bands that did 1-2 albums and then they disappeared. It's like that was all they had to give. And they didn't have any more to give for the rest of their life. It came out on 1 or 2 albums and that was it. So I don't know.
But no, we're gonna have to do an episode of that. We
will.
also we'd like to get some friends in the studio to come
Yes.
in and talk and interview them a little bit and see how their musical journey's going and what they like or dislike.
Yes.
Which is equally as important.
It's good to compare notes. I mean, we play live, we play in our studio, we record. It would be good to hear from them on whether they share the same anxieties that we have. There's clubs where we don't play because we just don't fit.
Yeah.
Did they experience that as well? I want to hear that.
No, I think that would be really good. We're going to try to get some guests into the studio as soon as we can, and we're going to be dishing out some more episodes. We have a couple different topics that we've been throwing around. We will let everyone know when we have a new episode. And tease it. If you
are a musician, if you are a musician and you're interested in being on the show, contact us and let us know, and we'll see if we can work up a time frame together with you and put something together. We do have a couple of musicians that we've talked to, and we're working on the details on when to put them in the show, but it's going to happen.
Yes.
It's going to happen, and the 80s, we're going to do that.
Yep.
But follow us on this channel that you're listening to now. Of course, this podcast is available on a number of different avenues, so wherever you're listening to, support us, like the channel, follow us, send us a note, let us know what you think, and if you have an idea of what another episode could be, what could we do that you would like to hear, and let us know. We're always open to suggestions.
Of course, yeah. We're not we're not pompous, arrogant musicians.
Give us your
we
feedback.
don't know everything. We don't claim to, but we do have some thoughts on things, and we like to listen to other people's thoughts and
the good and the
experiences.
bad.
Yeah, the good and the bad.
You're not going to hurt our feelings.
No, definitely not. But no, we will let everyone know, and please follow us if you're interested. If you want to hear more, if you have suggestions, of course, let us know.
Yeah.
That's the only way that we can get better and continue doing what we're doing. But thank you so much for listening.
Thank you for being here, Gary.
Yeah,
and,
just walk down the hall.
Terrific. And ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you on the next episode of Live from the Studio with G2. See you soon.